Congressman Barrett, Congresswoman Kim, thanks for being with us tonight here on the Hill. Appreciate it. It's nice to see you both. It's not lost on me, let me start here, that I'm looking here at a Democrat and a Republican from the exact same state standing next to each other saying, you know what, we got to build out our critical minerals, and you're putting this legislation out there together. Explain why.
Well, first of all, China's or Xi Jinping's export controls in April and October was a wake-up call for the United States to realize how vulnerable we were with the critical mineral supply chain. But we're no longer, asleep at the wheel. We're wide awake, and we're answering the call to ensure that the United States is ready to build out our domestic production to meet the demands that we have at scale. But we also recognize that we couldn't do this alone, which is why we're going to bring in our allies and partners across the nation, around the globe, to be able to build out our capacity to not only mine, but process and do manufacture so that we're ready for the next generation, and also, counter China's chokehold it has on critical mineral supply chain. That's why we did what we did yesterday. And you're right, this is unprecedented, but this is an issue that has wide bipartisan support. So Dominance Act is going to be a game changer for us, and we're really excited. There are like 4 different titles, and we can go and talk about those things too.
Congressman?
Well, and Blake, if I just added on, it's not a partisan issue. Critical minerals, rare earth elements go into our smartphones, computers, battery technology, and the most advanced missile capabilities, et cetera. So it's a real national security economic issue, and we can't be vulnerable to potential competitors in Beijing. So that's why this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's an American issue and a national security issue.
We're talking about this issue, Congressman Barrett, on a day as well when the Secretary of State and the Vice President are meeting with leaders from Greenland and from Denmark. When I look at the global rare earth reserves, it's China, as we all know, right at the top. But basically, Greenland and the U.S. are sitting there right at seventh and 8th in the world, right next to each other. And I'm looking at your legislation, and it directs the Secretary of State to coordinate with allied governments. I know the president has talked about rare earths and hasn't necessarily said Greenland is exactly because of that, but it's certainly an issue. So do you think his administration is right to go down that path?
I met with the representative from Greenland as well as the ambassador from Denmark. I think they're very willing to allow American companies to come in, build infrastructure, get access to those critical minerals and resources. I also think the president wants to have more security assets there because the Arctic is increasingly a competitive playing field. We already have military bases up there, and again, I think they're more than willing to allow us to have more military bases on Greenland. So hopefully the negotiations go well.
Yes. Greenland is a strategic, location for the United States, and it has a lot of natural resources, especially in the critical mineral sector, which is why we don't want to cede the opportunity for us to work together with our partner. And so I think we will rather be the partner there rather than ceding that to our adversaries like Russia or China. And I trust our, leadership, the president, and our secretaries are meeting with the dignitaries from Denmark and Greenland. As we're speaking, they are meeting. I think I would like to trust their negotiation team skills to make sure that we get the best interest and protect our national interests.
Do you, last question for you both, the status of this bill, does it have support from the speaker, maybe from the president? Where does it stand?
I want to thank Chairman Mast, who's a co-sponsor of the bill. All of the pieces of this legislation are bipartisan. There's talk on the Senate side of doing something similar in a bipartisan way. So this isn't a partisan issue. This might be one of those bills where you can put a lot together and get across the House floor and to the president's desk.
One of those rare times you see it.
A couple of the pieces within the dominance is already being marked up, like establishing the Bureau of Energy Security. That is already included, but we want to have a designated bureau and individual who, wakes up and goes to sleep at night thinking about nothing but critical minerals. And we already have been working very closely and talking to stakeholders at the White House, DFC, and all of the tools that we have. We're putting it all together, all of the tools in one toolbox. That's what Dominance Act is.
One of the rare times you see a Democrat and Republican standing there side by side. Congresswoman Kim, Congressman Bera, thanks for being with us tonight here on the Hill.